So a few houses down, the neighbor decided to sell his house and get rid of his smoker, and the wife picked it up for $50. And if you watch my channel, you know how I am. I like to make sure everything works nice and everything is in good operating condition. So I decided to take it all apart, clean it, fix it where fix is warranted, modify it where modify is needed, and put it all back together. Let me show you what this has become. I actually decided to spare you the disassembly and the greasing and sanding because it's just basic work. You remove chipped paint, you remove rust where rust is, and fix where fixing is needed. And we're at this stage now. This is the inside of the barrel. It's this thing is it requires some welding up here. As you can see, this is where the cooking rack for the meat sits, and I had to actually get it welded by a coworker. And this is pretty much ready for paint. This is the heart of the matter right here, where everything bolts into and onto. And I noticed that I think it's called the Auger, the motor for the Auger. You see it? It hits this plate right here. So I'll show you how I'm going to mitigate this. And this thing has got a serious dent on it. Look at this. As far as the rest goes, this is the door right here. Not the door, the lid, and you have the stop and the temperature sensor. This is all the stuff that is going to get painted. This is the copper lid, the hinges, and so on and so forth. As you can see, everything got taken apart. I Scotch-Brite before paint. I'm going to use a Rust-Oleum high temperature paint, a flat black, and a copper for these components. And these are the rest of the components right here. I mean, outside of the other stuff like this one here, you see it, but these I'm not. I just metal brushed, cleaned, because this is going to become rusty right away. But these are the other components right here. You have your casters. Turns out these casters were full of dirt and rocks, and all they needed was some cleaning and a little bit of lubing. They were good to go. This is your fire pot, nothing wrong with it. This is your control panel that controls everything. This was fine. This right here, on the other hand, I didn't like this. You see this? I believe this is called the Auger. And this is the assembly from the factory. And it comes like this, and it wobbles. And this wobbling is what caused that dent that I showed you earlier. Also this is from the factory. Look at this. A hot spot somewhere or chafing somewhere made it so that the wires were exposed. We will have to fix this as well. This is your blower motor because flames require air also to burn. And these are the rest of the components. You have your igniter for the pellets, right? And then your temperature sensor. And I'm going to show you where the modifications come in to make sure that this unit works properly. This is one of the knobs for the door. And I ordered a lot of the parts, some of them, and I'll tell you when the time comes during the assembly what I got where. These were the mods right here. This is a flame tamer. And what it does, it avoids the hot spots so that you have a uniform temperature inside of your cooking area. And this is a deflector. One of the defects, one of the flaws or defects of the manufacturing is that it has this huge gap that points towards this thermometer right here. And this thermometer is what sends a signal to the control unit right there for how fast the Auger is spinning and how much pellets going and what the inside operating temperature is of the fire of the cooking chamber. And this right here mitigates the issues from too high a temperature, hot spots, burnt meat, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it for the time being. The deflector and the tamer were from Smoke Like a Boss. Super cool folks, Ashley and Tom, her dad. They manufacture this stuff, and they're from Colorado, from what I understand. They're super cool folks, and I mean, that's where the parts came from. And they're made in America for Americans, by Americans, and I like to support the local folks and support the local economy. I don't want to have to... I try as much as I can not to support made outside of the U.S. borders. And these are the rest of the components. Obviously, I'm going to show you how all this go back together. Now, I said I spared you the taking apart and the cleaning because scraping and sanding isn't anything you don't know how to do already. But how this goes back together is essentially how it comes apart. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is actually paint. We're going to paint the different components with a different paint, and I'll show you what paint I use and its characteristics, and We're gonna let this dry. We scuff the surface after it's been cleaned. We're gonna scuff the surface, paint it, and it's gonna have to dry for about an hour. As you can see, after I took everything apart, I already cleaned everything. So all we're really doing is scuffing the surface so that the paint will stick. I'll use some isopropyl alcohol and then just clean the surfaces so that I'm not leaving a dust on it, so to speak. So what I'll do is I'll just spray some isopropyl alcohol like this. Right, see it? And then just wipe the surfaces down so that it's ready. They're clean and ready to take paint. You want to do this in a temperature that it's warm, yes, but do not do this in direct sunlight. Okay, and we are now ready to paint. Be sure to use a respirator. Let's get the paint. The base is ready for paint, and this is what I'm using for paint. It's going to be a flat black by Rust-Oleum. High heat, good up to 1200 degrees. You got to shake well before using. Obviously, make sure you hear the ball on the inside and let it dry for about an hour. I have to say that after spray painting the barrel and the legs right here, you see it? With a flat black, I mean, I don't mind the inside, but the outside flat black, I actually do not like. I don't like, so I went to get a few cans of the ultra high temp semi-gloss black, and we'll see how it looks. I think it'll look better, so let's get rolling with the semi-gloss. Okay, we gave it a second and third coat with the semi-gloss black paint from Rust-Oleum, and I gotta tell you, I like it a lot better than the flat paint, which looks like this. See the base, for example, I did paint with the semi-gloss paint, and I like it a lot better. Did a couple of coats on the barrel, came out pretty good. I'm happy with it. Again, it just needs to dry. That's been painted as well. We painted this as well. That's the bottom of the hopper. But in the meantime, what we can do while the paint is curing, we still have to do the copper paint, but we could go ahead and fix the electrical wiring on the, I think it's called the Auger, I believe. So what we could do is let's clean this up in the meantime. Make sure you get a good angle. We'll cut this. We'll go ahead and strip it. We'll insert, this is a shrink tube right here. I got all this stuff from work. One of my coworker told him I had this situation. He said, yeah, I'll help you out. I have exactly what you need. It's like, okay. Okay, I think we have a good crimp. It looks good. What we can do is move the shrink tube over it, and like so, and we could heat it up to shrink it. With a 764 Allen key, which is this one here, let's see if we can go ahead and tighten this Auger. I think that's the name for it. But anyway, I like to call it corkscrew. But let's see if we can tighten this hardware a little bit more. And it looks like it's about as tight as it's going to get. 5/16 socket and this. Okay, Let's go ahead and start doing some assembling where possible, where it doesn't affect the paint. We can install the sight glass again for the pellet level. Just be careful because this is actual glass, so don't be careful. That's all I'm saying. Just be careful. This glass can break on you, and it's just for Phillips head screwdriver, Phillips head screws. Because we did paint this too. Just a light coat of that semi-gloss paint. Alright, let's go ahead and install these feet. These are some decorative, they're decorations essentially. These go, they're specific. They're location specific. I didn't realize that. But now you know you can't mess it up. These are the front casters for this smoker. And just screw in like this, and then you could just tighten them by hand. We can now install the casters in the back as well. It's a super easy assembly job. You have a pin like so, and you just slide in the caster like that. Put the washer in, and put the retaining pin in like that. So the same thing on the other side. We can now put the emblem back on as well, now that we painted the base. You know, I went from a flat paint to a little semi-gloss paint, high temperature. The wife is already complaining. Just so you know, the wife is always going to complain. It's a 5/16, nothing crazy, just nice and snug. Oh, wrong side. Okay, the base is assembled. Think it looks good? What do you think, huh? I think it looks amazing, and the emblem is back on, so I think it looks good. We can now set the barrel on a base. Okay. There we go. Now all we have to do is line up the holes and put the screws in. Let's get the hardware ready and let's line up these holes. Now that we have the barrel on the tray, we can start putting the hardware in place, and then we'll just torque it all at once together. There's 12 of these screws. Here they are. Let's just put them all in. Alright, the barrel is mounted on the lower frame. However, I'm realizing that whoever assembled this last missed these 6 screws right here. So I'll have to figure out what pitch and thread those are, and I actually want to get those screws, get them and get those installed. I also cooked the copper pieces with the rattle can, the lid, the hopper lid, and the smoker, the stack of the smoker, and I think it looks pretty good. We'll see how it looks once it dries, and we'll give it another coat so that we even out the color. Alright, let's continue the quest of assembling this smoker. We can now install this piece right here. We'll install the new gasket on it, all the way down like so, and then we'll slip it into the cooking chamber. Here it is, it's all the way down. Okay, we pick it up, and this slips in like so. Alright, and let's go ahead and install the hardware which mounts from the inside. All the pieces that I'm about to install were purchased at Stove and Grill Parts for Less, and this is 2026 prices. The gasket that I just installed, these are the part numbers for it. 74251. I got a new knob, and you'll see this is to empty out the hopper. 74081 is the smokestack, and I got a new thermometer for the lid because this one had broken. The knob is 74091, and these are the other part numbers if you could see them. So yeah, total price for all this stuff was about $70 with the shipping costs and whatnot. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish to put this together. Okay, just be sure that when you take this thing apart, if you're going to end up doing what I did, is you label your baggies with the hardware so that you know where everything goes and you don't lose anything. Last thing you want to do is lose hardware, or it may not even be there. Just like I found out with this with the smoker, pieces are missing. Pieces are, well, not pieces, hardware is missing, and I'm not fond of that, to be honest with you. I don't like it when the hardware is missing. Okay, we got all the hardware just about in, and we're just gonna cinch this down by hand. Where is it? It's a Phillips head screwdriver. And we'll just go ahead and tighten it down like so. Okay, we can now install the new smokestack with the new gasket. And we're going to have to punch a hole for the other side. Make sure that the gasket is nice and centered, and well, the hole is right about here. Okay, let's go ahead and put the screw in. We insert the heating element. I believe it goes through this hole if I remember correctly, and we just push it down there. And it should pop out right here. Here we go. And now we can put it on the pot, on the fire pot, which is this one right here. All right, we have all the hardware. This goes in like this. This goes in here, and the retaining screw is on its side. So this is about the extent that it needs to go in. We're going to cinch this down like so, just to keep the heating element or the igniter in place. Okay. This should suffice. We can now slide this and pull the wire, because now we gotta, there we go. We gotta get this the barrel of the, there it is. Now the barrel is in place for the auger, and we are in business. We can now put the other 4 screws in. These ones here that holds in place the fire pot. And we could screw these down. Nothing crazy. Like so. Alright, we can now put in the auger. As This goes in like so, and there is a stop screw which we'll have to insert right there. But this is the part that bothers me because I'm going to put some foam under, see if I can suspend it so it doesn't bend. Let me get the hardware for it. Okay, this is the screw for it. It goes in here like so. And this wobbles too much. I don't like this. I did buy some foam. Hopefully we'll be able to suspend this. Otherwise, you see this dent that I was telling you about. It was created by this motor right here that just sits here, which is kind of wild that it just does that. All right, let's get the foam that I purchased for this job. All right, so I had to take the Auger off again so that I could put this piece of foam right here to mitigate the banging. Now we can put this back in. And then let's see how it works. Hopefully it helps. I just gotta find the hole for the where's the hole? Here it is. There you go. Now we could put the screw in. At least we have some lift. There you go. Now I feel a little better about. It's not as doesn't bang directly. Alright, we're gonna put foam here as well because there used to be foam right here. Put some right here also. We could take this. Alright, and there was some right here as well. Cut it to measure. There we go. Got this at True Value. It was like $5 or so. Alright, so we got all the foam back in place where it used to be. Let's put a piece right there as well while we're at it. There we go. Alright. We are all foamed up. Okay. We got this. We can now install the blower fan. And this mounts right here like so. And this is what feeds the fire and then makes that sound of the blower. And it's coming from this fan right here. Because a fire cannot be a fire unless there is air to it, and this brings air to it right here. You can now run the wiring through the hole here and put the rubber grommet. Hopefully we don't damage it any more than it's already. Doing our best. There we go. Hopefully this will work. Alright. We got this in place and ready to go. Okay. Let's move on to the next thing. Next, we install the temperature sensor. We run it through here like so. And that goes through this hole. And like so. Be sure to clean I cleaned the temperature sensor with a little bit of steel wool and some isopropyl alcohol. I recommend you do the same. And alright. With a Phillips screwdriver. And with the screws on the bottom. Temperature sensor is in. We can now put the lid for the temp sensor. We can now install the lid, which mounts like this. Forgive me if it's a little windy out. I'm trying to. It's a nice day out, and I don't want to be indoors. Not to mention there's paint fumes in the garage, even though I'm running a blower. There we go. Next, we can install the lid stop, which goes right here like so. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you take everything apart, if you end up doing this, be sure to label everything properly. Do not lose any of the hardware. Next, we can install the heat deflector. This is one of the flaws of this particular smoker. What happens is, because there's a gap here, which this mitigates, there's direct heat going to the temperature sensor, giving you a false reading, and overworking the hopper and all the pellets and whatnot, giving you too hot a fire. Then it gives you a hot spot, which we also have another tool for that. I mean, another mod for that, which we'll get to shortly. What I did, I marked it with a Sharpie. Now I'm going to put some pilot holes, and then we'll install this. Let's make the pilots. There it is. There's the other screw. And this. Alright, first mod is installed. Next, we can install the hopper. This is it, this unit right here. And it should just go nice and easy vertical. Make sure you don't bind any wires. And it should go just like this. There we go. Let's put the hardware in it. It might be a little bit taller because of the foam. That's the reason for it. But we do want to create a good seal and not let all the sawdust from the pellets get in the way. Here it is. Alright, the hopper is in. We cannot put the pellet lid as well with the new hardware. The lid for the stop for the pellets whenever you want to empty it out. This is the new screw that for some reason is not going in smoothly. Interesting. We're going to let it be for the time being, and this is the cap for the pellets so that they don't come out. So then just, yeah, this is the original one. Can you tell? Okay, anyway, this should work. All right, so a little chintzy, but that's okay. We'll make it work. All right. So the hopper is in. We cannot put the control unit in. So let's go grab that and hook up all the wiring. As far as the control panel goes, this has these circ clips and it just slips right in. Just be careful. obviously, as you can see, I labeled everything before this unit came off, so you would do well to make sure that you label everything before you start disconnecting or wiring. You do not want to be connecting the wrong things. Alright, so now that we have all the wiring in place, we can start hooking stuff up. But before we do that, let's hook up this ground, because the ground goes right here. Alright, so one at a time. We'll start with whichever is available, I guess. Which one is this one? This one is the power cord. Okay, well, let's disconnect this identifier. Alright, and let's hook up the power cord. Alright, cord is in. This is the corkscrew. I called it the corkscrew. It's actually, I found out it's called a Auger. Okay, let's connect it. This is the cooling fan. Well, it's actually the blower. Alright, so this is in. This is the heating element, which is this one right here with the igniter. Okay, let's plug this baby in. And the last item is the temperature sensor. This is what drives the whole that doesn't drive the whole operation, but it's one of the key elements of this whole operation. That's it. Now what we want to do is zip tie everything together so nothing touches anything or anything burns up, or this is how stuff gets damaged. So we will zip tie and safety this as best as we can so nothing touches anything. That's the next thing. Okay, as you can see, the way this is laid out, there shouldn't be any problems with wires burning or touching anywhere. Once I put the bottom lid on, here we go. This is it. This is probably, this wire here, it probably was touching this, and it got hot, and it probably got burned, and that's how it happened. But now that it's pretty much suspended, we can put the bottom lid on. So let's do that. We can close this up. Alright, my friend, we're going to have to revert back to the old-fashioned way because the battery died on the other camera. We can now install the bars for the service tray. As you can tell, I put the the cap for the smokestack back on. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I know I'm in your way. Sorry. Okay. You know, every time the wife comes out here, she complains about the paint. I mean, I know, it's flat would have looked more even, but I didn't like flat, so she doesn't seem to get past that. Let me see. Let me get a better screwdriver so we could torque this a little better. All right. Okay. Okay, so service tray. Here we go. Service tray is back on. Good. The hood smokestack cap is back on. So now let's move on to the other side where the hopper is, and we'll put the lid and the inside grate. Inside the hopper is that mash, that piece right there. We're gonna install that right now, and then we will put the lid, and then we will focus on this lid right here, which is sitting right there, and then we will focus on finishing the inside. We will change the hardware for the hinges of the door because this was one of the weak points as well, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. But let's go ahead and finish the hopper and put the lid on it. Actually, we're gonna put the lid first, otherwise we're gonna have a hell of a time putting this lid on if I put that mash first. So let me see if I can do this. It has a nut in the back and a screw in the front. We might need a stubby as a screwdriver, so we'll do that. So maybe I could put the screw in first. So you just drop this baby in like so. All right, so the next we are drilling out the old rib nuts. I already started. All right, we got the rib nuts out, and we're gonna put these ones in. It's a tool from whatchamacallit, AutoZone. Let's see if this will work. We're gonna need a wrench though for this, so let me grab that, and then we'll get going with putting these rib nuts in. Well, my friend, this looks like it's working. So here, I'll show you from the inside, and it's nice and it's crushed. So we have ourselves a new rib nut, and I'm going to try to show you how I do one, and then essentially it's the same thing for all four. Drilled them all out, as you can see, with a, I think it was a 5/16 drill bit. Let me see. Yeah, it was a 5/16 drill bit. I drilled all the old rib nuts, and we're going to put new ones in. Right, so we're going to insert the rib nut in. We're going to hold it in place with, in this case, an Allen wrench. And we're just going to start spinning away. This one's got a little bit of a wobbled hole. Hopefully it works. It looks like it took root. It's not moving anymore, it's expanding. And here it is, my friend. That's how you do it. Until it's nice and tight. You take it off, and it should be pretty flush. That's it, here we go. It is done. We can now move on to the last two. All right, so now that we have all the riv-nuts placed and the hinges are in position to put the lid on, we're going to go ahead and vacuum inside of this Okay, you get the idea of what we're doing here, but now it's time for the lid. All right, we got the lid on. We have the little screws started. Just gotta make sure this thing is aligned. Unfortunately, I don't have my T-handles. It would have been easier, but that's all right. We'll make do. All right, my friend. We are down to the final touches. It's the handle time and then the thermometer. And then we're gonna have to ops check it, function test to make sure everything works, and we'll put the rest of the mods in we talked about at the beginning of this video. All right. The new thermometer came with its own washer and nut, so we will just go ahead and center it. Install the new nut and washer from the inside. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. It just needs to be tight enough. It doesn't serve any function other than measure the temperature. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. That's it. All right, I'm happy with it. Good enough. It's nice and straight. All right. Now we could put the internal components in and the final, in the remaining part of the mod. Let me show you. Okay, so once we slip in this bottom piece, that sits on top of the fire pot, this is the last part of the mod right here. This goes like this. And what this does, it deflects the flame from directly onto that dome that sits on top, and you don't have a hot spot on your cooking area. So let's go ahead and finish to put the remaining components in. I'll show you what it looks like, and then we will do the function test on it. We'll put some pellets in it, we'll fire it up, and we will have to cook this paint and let it sit for about an hour at 450 degrees or whatever max temperature we can reach. And it looks like this will reach 450 degrees. Okay, let's put the remaining pieces in. All right, so this piece goes in with the ears right where the other mod that we talked about earlier, so that we'd avoid direct heat onto the thermostat. Onto the thermometer. There we go, just like that. And this other piece goes like this. Right on it. And we can actually put the grates on. See how that looks. All right, these have not been washed yet, but it's okay. Just throw these in like so. Here's one. Here's the middle one. We'll just cook everything up. No big thing. Beautiful. And then we'll put this one here. Like, how does this go? It should fit in here. Not exactly sure how this came out. There we go. We got it. All right. Oh, I see how this works. Interesting. What an interesting design. All right. We are ready to put some pellets in, plug it in, and start it up. Let's move this baby outside. All right, my friend, this is it. We're gonna let it reach operating temperature. I don't know if this is working normally. It doesn't look like it is. But right now it looks like it's producing heat. It's finally completed, got it up and running. Now I just got to bring it to temperature and let it cook for an hour, the paint that is. All right, my friend, this is it. This is the unit. It's repainted and everything. All right, man, this is it. We're getting ready to smoke some meat here shortly. I'm very happy with how it turned out, though. I will say I'm very happy with how it turned out.